Hi, this is Susan from the Bay Area. I'm checking with you back to the reference on Alicia's call about a formal document that the sellers would sign when you supply the vendor and then you're adding your fees and then all of it to be paid in escrow, because I got caught in a situation with a seller and they tried to cheat me out of the things that I had paid for. And then I consulted with an attorney and he said, well, you're kind of out of luck because I didn't have anything in writing. And I know I'm a realtor and I know that our association does not like us to create contracts because we are not attorneys for that situation. Do you have any kind of something already put together that I can kind of follow, sort of?
Well, I would say the first thing is, and I've only done it twice, but I've only gone against the advice I'm going to give you twice. Don't put yourself in a position where you're risking your own capital and you're providing the service. Like, you've done enough. So you don't have to pay for cleanouts. You can find other ways to do it. That's the first rule, is like, just don't get yourself in the middle of it so you don't have that risk. Now, when I've made exceptions, both times have been with very elderly couples who lost their parents very late in life. Like, the parent died and the PR was a child in their 80s, like mid to late 80s. Their parents, they had children really young and like lived into their hundreds. They were from a generation that they didn't trust what they didn't see. So I'm like, this contractor's going to, or this clean out guy's going to come and do this, and then the carpet guy's going to come and do this. And they're like, well, I just don't know. We're really comfortable with you. So I stepped up and took the risk. I paid for the clean out. I paid for the carpet install. And then they literally drove up here and handed me a personal check. So the money was only out for a couple of days. And in that case, they had the money. They just, because they were elderly, they didn't trust writing a check to someone they didn't know. So I took the risk. But it's a rare occasion when I'm willing to do that, because we can leverage things like estate advance companies. So essentially you can take a short-term loan, non-secured loan, and that estate advance company will take the risk. Now, they're coming in at the very bottom line of the distribution when they settle probate. So it's not going to be a cheap interest rate. It's going to be more like a credit card interest rate, because they're really sticking their neck out to make an unsecured loan like that. So that's one solution. Carrying an invoice to escrow is the best way you can do it. If you partner with strong vendors, they can typically float invoices for 90 or 120 days. Contractors are the easiest because there are ways to secure them. Like, a contractor can, they can submit an invoice with a 10% premium or 12% premium, whatever they're comfortable with for taking that capital risk, submit it to escrow, and then go straight to the courthouse and record a mechanics lien. So that way, even if something goes wrong, if the sale falls apart and they don't sell, your contractor at least has a mechanics lien on a property that has to transfer out of probate. So it might take 6 months in a worst case scenario, but when that property transfers, in order for it to transfer, they've got to remove that lien. So he's got to be paid. So it's easier to protect contractors because of mechanics liens. If it's, a clean out company and it's $1,000, it's hard to secure that. So you can either leverage a lender to loan the family money and they will have their own contract, or you can leverage your relationship with the vendor and have them carry the risk through the closing table to get a premium on top of it. But just try at all costs avoid risking your own money, because you're the one providing the service and the expertise. That should be enough.
Yeah, all that is really, really good advice. I was just trying to be very, very kind to these people, and they end up taking advantage of the situation. It was kind of tragic for what I actually did for the whole situation. But what you were saying, Chad, about the estate advance company, where would I find one of those for people if I needed to?
If you Google estate advance company, there's 3 or 4 that are working on a national level. Did you say you're in California?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, just Google estate advance lender or estate advance company and see who you can find, and talk to 2 or 3, compare their rates, compare their terms, their track records, what loan sizes they make, and maybe having all 3 as arrows in your quiver is the right answer. You can
okay,
have
that sounds great.
One maybe for a certain type of like personal property or, getting homes cleaned out, where the other might be willing to loan upwards of $200,000. Some of these guys will only do 10 or 15 grand, regardless of the estate amount. That's all the risk they're comfortable with. So ask them about how big of a loan they're willing to make. Is it based on a percentage of gross value or just a set dollar amount? And then you'll kind of see which ones you can use where.
Perfect. I love it.